All right, everyone. I am here with Paulo Martinez and Carlo Rodriguez from Klustera, live once again from NYU Future Labs and the AI Nexus Accelerator. Guys, say hi.
Hi.
Hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
So let's just jump right in and have you tell us a little bit about Klustera. What are you guys up to?
Sure. Well, we started as a retail analytics company, like enabling. Carlo and I worked at a marketing innovation firm.
Okay.
And we were wondering what could happen if Walmart had the same data that Amazon has. How could they grow their businesses? And the pursuit of that response took us to where we are now. We track people's movements on physical spaces based on their anonymous Wi-Fi signals.
Okay.
And we got some traction in that space, but then we realized that wasn't like where the value resided, right? Like just by tracking the people. What we understood, like working with some of the major players in the market in Mexico, such as Anheuser-Busch, Walmart, and Volaris, that it's a very large airline there, is that the real value resides in delivering relevant advertising to the users based on their behavior in the real world, and that's where Klustera is now at.
So you're no longer focused on the Wi-Fi movement element of it, or is that still part of the?
It's still part.
It's a building block.
Yeah, it's a building block. But instead of selling the data as a dashboard or something like that, we use that data to correlate the behavior of the people with their profiles based on the data that we get, and then we target those people.
Okay. And so the general idea then is to allow so-called brick and mortar retailers to have more of the kind of give them. You know what, with an online retailer, you know exactly what the customer does from, their page path, as well as, maybe even heat map, eye tracking, that kind of stuff. And so this is trying to capture some of that same kind of insight for the brick and mortar retailer.
Yes, to capture that insight, but also to activate it.
Okay.
Right? We realized that, for example, Google and Facebook, they're massive companies which their business model resides just in one simple idea, that is to make advertising more relevant to the people, right? And that's why they're so big. But they are just like online to online. The things that you do online, they get transformed into online advertising. But no company yet has really nailed how to take the offline behavior of the people and translate it into online advertising, which is important because online digital advertising is growing like two digits per year since I remember. So it's going to get just bigger, and companies need that data to better deliver their campaign.
And so you're telling them with the data that you've collected, who to target? But what else are you telling them? Are you telling them how to target them, where to target them, or are you providing an advertising network, or are you telling them which advertising networks to use? Tell me a little bit more about how a customer uses what you're providing.
Sure. Well, first I'm gonna give you like a glimpse of how the solution works, and then I'm gonna let Carlo go a little bit technically deeper. Okay. What we do is we hear the Wi-Fi signals of the smartphones. Right. They have all the audience must know that the MAC address is like the anonymous device ID. We hear that and we can pinpoint where is that device located in a very, very accurate way. Like instead of geofencing that has a 500-meter accuracy, we have a 10-meter accuracy. So that's the first thing. Second, as people gathering a lot of data from the city, like the Google car does, we also map out the whole city, but the routers in the city.
The Wi-Fi networks in the city. So we map the cities literally with latitude, longitude, exactly where all the Wi-Fi spots are. commercial, office space, and also residential.
Oh, so we're not talking about movements within the store. We're talking about movements out in the world.
Yeah.
Both.
Like inbound and outbound.
Okay.
Well, or outside the store, like an urban level, like at the city level, but also inside the store.
Okay. And so you are collecting all this database. You're basically locating the individuals, and then what are you doing with that data? How are you aggregating it?
Well, we aggregate it as analytics, as Carlos said, dashboards, like so our clients can understand when do the users arrive, how much time do they spend, how do they move inside the store, but also as users naturally connect to Wi-Fi on certain locations, then with the opt-in, like with the consent of the user, we can match their device IDs to their online profiles, and in that way we can like make the whole cycle and start delivering smart campaigns. For example, one of our clients is a major burger chain here in the US, and they're using our solution for a lot of stuff. But one of the main points is to understand how people like their loyalty, their recency, how often do they go, and if they notice a pattern, and that's where one of the ways that we use machine learning and AI for our product. If we identify that the user is gonna churn, like it's gonna bail out for a competitor because we compare their behavior to a lot of past behavior from other profiles, then we send an aggressive campaign to that user because we know that he's like in danger of bailing out of the brand.
And so to make that a little bit more concrete, I'm a burger chain A customer. If I spend more time in an area that you might surmise I'm sitting in a burger chain B, is that an example, or are you finding deeper patterns that would suggest that I might be more likely to churn?
Well, there are three main things that we look at in building the model.
Okay.
First is as people connect to the places, well, generally they connect to the places they go to eat, like to have food, that we can have like a sense of the competitors. Of if you go to somewhere, we can know if you have connected to some competitor. First. Second, we can understand where people live and work based on their previous Wi-Fi locations. So we can understand the socioeconomical status of the person in that sense, that it's they comply with that. And third, we see the patterns of the visits, just like in Google Analytics or in any web analytics suite. You can see how often do the person goes, if they go daily, if they go weekly, if they go 2 times a month. And then we compare that and we see, we have seen some similar behaving customers that after not going to the burger chain in 3 weeks, we never see them again. That's when we know that we have to activate some campaign.
Okay, interesting. Tell me a little bit about your backgrounds and how you arrived at this problem.
Well, as Pablo mentioned before, we met at the marketing agency. I was the head of innovation. My background was a telecommunication engineer. I've always been a geek since I was a kid. I learned to code when I was 13, just for fun, and the thing is that put me all through college and everything. I went to Singularity University, and I am a maker. I build drones and stuff, and I like to code. That's cool.
Okay.
Sure. Well, we met there and at a marketing agency. I was VP of analytics.
Okay.
And my whole career was in the marketing and analytics space. I minored in marketing, but I majored in applied statistics, and then I studied a master's degree in analytical sciences. So I always try to solve marketing problems using analytics and data. And Carlo, as he is very strong with technology and sensors, it was like a perfect match for this venture.
One of the things that I'm sure you get asked a lot is around the privacy implications of what you're doing. How do you what are the questions that you're most asked around that, and how do you respond to those?
Sure. Well, they ask us a lot about that because it's like a sensible topic. We know that we're not the first company to aggregate customer behavior and activate campaigns. A lot of companies have done that before. And we know that we're not the only company that tracks people's movements with cell phones, with their cell phone signals. But first and foremost, we know that we have to put privacy at like the first of every decision that we make, because at the end of the day, we are not interested in individual behaviors, but on aggregated behaviors. Like that's why we're called Klustera, because of the cluster analysis that we do for the people. So in terms of how the two main questions that we get asked is this legal? and the answer is yes. We have a very solid legal framework that like allows, for example, to gather aggregated data and make sense of it in terms of dashboards, of analytics, without infringing any kind of privacy law or anything, nor in LATAM or the US. And second is, well, if it's anonymous, how you can activate campaigns. And the answer to that question is that when the user opts into our platform, they comply that we can use their data to send more relevant advertising. And that's what Google and Facebook does. They take, for example, your birthday, and they send some special promotion because it's your birthday. I don't think that anybody can like argue or be mad about it.
And so are all of the users opted in users, and what are they actually opting into? Is it some app that you're providing or something that the customer is providing that they want to get some value from?
It's the Wi-Fi portal.
Get Wi-Fi networks.
Okay. So, and you guys are running the Wi-Fi networks, or you have agreements with existing Wi-Fi networks to do this?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, we can go and install just the sensor, our Wi-Fi sensor. It's like a very small router.
Okay.
That goes up on top of the existing Wi-Fi technology that all of our clients have. Or if there are some hotspot companies that we're partnering in Mexico, where we just put our platform in their existing sensors, and then we can match the user profiles.
I was going to ask about this earlier, and we moved on to something else. The degree to which the infrastructure needs to be changed in order to support what you're doing, and it sounds like yes. So does that mean that in order to grow, you need to you have to go after these Wi-Fi portal owners, basically? What are they? But they're not the beneficiaries of the analytics necessarily. That's the retailer. So what's in it for them? How do you make them want to get engaged with you guys?
Well, first we give them the ability to better serve their clients without spending more, because they give a very simple dashboard, simple analytics of the Wi-Fi, and we tell them, if you put this code in your portal, then you will be able to give a better product to the client that is paying you, and you don't have to pay anything.
Okay. It sounds like a interesting and complex ecosystem. So you got the portal folks that they maybe are their client is like Starbucks or someone that's providing at their location, and then you guys are trying to use the data for the retailer.
Also, in the case of the retailer or small chains, they already are providing Wi-Fi to their customers, And in this case, these chains, they also, we get on top of what they have. And in this case, a chain always have hundreds, maybe, locations. And that's how we also work.
Okay, makes sense. So maybe a little bit more on how you're using machine learning and AI to solve this. What kinds of techniques and approaches come into play to solve this particular problem?
Well, as I mentioned before, you see that part of the analytics is a building block towards the end product, that is clustering out audiences, create targeting profiles for the people. In the case of the analytics, literally to measure people, we need to identify which people is a visitor of the place and a passerby. From that perspective, we need to classify those type of customers. The raw data that we get is a very messy data because it's a lot of data that is coming from the cell phones. It's literally signals from the cell phones, and we use models to classify which one is in the store, which was passing in front of the store, and then after that classify them in buckets. Like, okay, this is a newcomer, is a returning visitor, etc., etc.
Yeah, and also to predict future behavior. We get that asked a lot, like, where is the AI on what you have? Because in some other companies it's very straightforward.
Right.
However, in ourselves, we think like 10 years ago maybe, it was, or 20 years ago, it was very hot to say you were an internet company.
Sure.
And now it's very hot to say you're an AI company. And we think that it's gonna like, how do you say that? Like, it's gonna permeate in all companies. So maybe in 1 or 2 years, it's not gonna make sense to say that you are an AI company because everybody is doing that. It's like you say, I'm an electricity energy company now, right? Like, just because you use electricity.
It's a tool. You see, it's a tool. Yeah, if you are in the tool business selling pickaxes, well, you sell pickaxes. In this case, we use the pickaxes to build stuff.
Right. And the folks that listen to the podcast like to hear about what kind of pickaxes you use, and it sounds like clustering is a big one of the big pickaxes.
You want me to get really technical on this?
Sure.
Well, if you see, we have many branches here. First of all, is that all the data is coming. For that, of course, we also use the cloud. Otherwise, we don't have any on-premise stuff. And then, first of all these cloud go through a data pipeline that is run on Spark. Spark. We use two classifications: is logistic regression and a decision tree. And based on that,
what was the first one?
Logistic regression.
Logistic regression. Got it.
And a decision tree. And with that, we get to the analytics side and the first cluster. Let's say about that. Then we get the models for the clustering of the behavior of the people based on the profile and also the behavior they have shown before.
That's my favorite part because we started using like hierarchical clustering, but then we started pioneering with a technique, well, not pioneering, but using a technique called self-organizing maps. That it like takes all the features of the people and like makes like a self-organizing map. It's like a technique used more for like machine vision. Okay. Where we're using that to make sense of all the information of the data of the users and gather them into very more smart or smarter segments that if we use just plain clustering.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and also we have different layers of information that we get from the people. In the case of what is just analytics, well, it's just an ID. It's your MAC address. The MAC address doesn't say anything about you. Right. That's why we are legal, because it's not personal identified information. The MAC address doesn't give you the name, doesn't give you the phone number, doesn't give you the email, doesn't give you anything, just the brand of the phone. Okay, well, how do you behave inside the physical place? But in the case when the people opt in the Wi-Fi spots, we ask them to put an email or in this 90% of the cases, Facebook login, social login. Okay. And once we get the social login, we can know the gender, the birthday, and the likes, what pages do they have liked before, and based on that we can literally create a really good profile of about you. Because if I see you in a hotspot that is in a brewery or in a coffee place, and then I see you in another city, etc., is literally reflecting your behavior.
Right.
And then with those clusters, with those audiences, is the way we make business.
Okay. Oh, great. Well, that's exciting stuff. Can you maybe share anything else you'd like to add, or maybe you can share how folks can find you and learn more?
Sure. It's first that we're very thankful for the interview, and we're very excited to be in this space and in New York. I think it's a very thriving scene, and that for all our listeners, that we would like to tell them that yes, there's a lot of hype in the space, and like we were marketing themselves or the machine learning company, but nobody understood that. And then when we started solving the problem using all the picks and tools and hammers that Carlos said, that's when things started moving around. So maybe like have this change of perspective about the AI on startups. I think that's important. And we're based in Mexico City, so you can come visit us anytime you want. And we are at Klustera, Klustera.com.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Sam.
Thank you.